I'm Scott Miller. This is my vlog of everyday life living in Leon, Nicaragua, with recent talk of a limit to the number of flights that are going to the United States from Nicaragua, which is the main flight partner, with the Spirit Airlines beginning to decrease flights, with Avianca having increasing problems with their flights and no new flights happening in the area. You may think that Nicaragua is in a bad position for flights, but I think that's anything but the case. Of course, we are very sad about the lessening of flights with Spirit. They're not done. They're still happening from time to time, but the frequency of them and the assuredness that you're going to get them at the time of year that you want them is not there. We don't know what their future is going to be, but in reality, flights to Nicaragua are looking decently positive. We have some things we're hopeful for and some things that have already been announced. So what is coming and how will it affect you? We're going to let you know right after the bump. Whether you're a backpacker and looking for additional access to different countries as you're traveling, or you're looking at becoming an expat and living in the region, the connections we have from our local airport are pretty important. And if you haven't done any other research, we got lots of videos about the flights from Nicaragua, where you can go, how you do it, what alternatives exist, and so forth. But the basics are we have one real international airport, that is Managua in the capital, and it's going to connect you to only a few countries in the region. We don't have a lot of large, long-haul flight capability or anything like that. We do have some exciting things that are coming, including a new airport at Punta Huete, but that is some ways away. That is not ready. It's not going to be ready in the next few months or anything of the sort. The runway's there, but the terminals are not. That's a lot of construction and a lot of investment that has to happen. And once it comes, yes, we're hoping for some long-haul flights to some new locations, especially South America. That's my personal, what I want to see most, right? I want to see Avianca flying to Bogota directly rather than going through a secondary country, and I really want to see LATAM connecting us to Lima. Of course, we'd love to see lots of other things, but those two are realistic. Those are things that actually could make sense. And of course, if at all possible, we'd like to see connections to Europe, but we don't necessarily need the new airport for that, which is interesting. We're going to talk about that in a second. Before I dive in, I just want to mention a few things real quickly. One, if you want to support the channel and you don't want to spend money, that's okay. We prefer, of course, if you want to support us financially by buying me a coffee at the links that we put up on the show and is in the show notes. But if you want to support us in other ways, you can simply watch another video or two, let them play at the end of the show. That does a lot, and give us a thumbs up, right? All that stuff really does make a difference. And of course, get in the show notes or in the comments and say hello. This stuff matters. Plus, join us on Thursdays for our live stream in the evenings. But continuing on, why aren't we concerned about flights going off to Europe? Well, that is because we have a new announcement. Iberia is going to be coming to Managua Airport and flying directly to Madrid. Of course, Managua and Madrid are connected long-term. We're important colonial partners over the last over 500 years, and having flights between those two is very logical, but we have to have the planes that can handle it. We have to have enough traffic to make it make sense, and so forth. So that Iberia has announced, that's the airlines, has announced that they will be implementing this flight path directly from Managua to Madrid is a huge deal and something that we're very excited about. And there's a couple things here. One, Madrid is one of the absolute finest cities in Europe. It is my personal top two, right? Rome and Madrid are my favorite cities to go to in Europe, and if you're looking for a large city to live in, it's absolutely fantastic. So that's a big deal. It's also the capital of Spain, obviously. So if you're looking for business or other opportunities, Madrid is a really big deal. Spain also makes it very easy for Nicaraguans to be able to go and spend lots of time or even live. So it's important to be able to go back and forth with family there. But a key factor for Madrid being so interesting to us as a European destination is that Madrid is traditionally the hub of high-speed rail worldwide. It is an epicenter for high-speed rail. It's in the dead center of the country and connects all of Spain and France and Portugal by high-speed rail, and we're hoping in the future into Africa through a connection to Morocco as well. There's been some talk of that. That's some faraway fancy things, but fanciful things, but it's possible. But being able to fly into Madrid means you get off the plane, you get right onto a train, and you have easy access to Spain completely, to the Iberian Peninsula easily, but onto France and farther into Europe. So if you're looking for Continuing on and not just visiting Spain, Madrid is a very good hub for that. Of course, Lisbon would be decent, but you still got to get out to Madrid. And of course, flying on to like Paris or something farther could be interesting. And of course, we'd love to see those connections come in the future. But just having a connection to Madrid basically opens up the continent to us and is enough to give us easy accessibility to Europe. That's all we really need, and that has been announced. So that is a game changer for us here. Previously, if we want to get to Europe, going to Costa Rica or going to Honduras has been the simple answers, and getting up to Mexico, Guatemala, or Panama for even better options has been there, but the options are truly limited in the region even doing that. So this is a really good connection for us, and will pretty much eliminate the need to go to another country for getting those flights. So if you're a backpacker coming to or from Europe, or if you're a vacationer from Nicaragua looking to have access to Europe, or you're an expat and you want to be able to use Nicaragua as a base, this is a game changer for a lot of us. So we're very excited about that. Our ability to simply go to Europe to hang out, see friends or whatever is going to be completely different. My best friend lives in Belgium, and so being able to get up to see her in Liege is going to be so much easier. Being able to take a simple hop to Madrid and then take the train from there to Paris and on to Liege will be amazing, right? And that's something I haven't been able to do for a very long time. I moved down here during COVID. She moved to Belgium during COVID, and so we've been disconnected all that time because there's been no way to get flights between the two. So this is a huge deal. Plus, we lived in Spain together a number of years ago, so it's really cool that that's where we'll be going through, just really close to Granada, where we used to live. Now, the other big thing, and this is probably impacting more expats in a more tangible way every day, is that WestJet has announced direct flights from Montreal to Managua starting later this year, I believe in December. So that's really nice, because we've not had direct flights from anywhere in Canada prior to this. Not even Toronto has flights to Managua. So that we have the Montreal connections coming down here is huge. And of course, Nicaragua has an incredibly large Quebecois population in its expat groups. When we talk about all the Canadians that live down here, yes, we have Canadians from all over the country, as we have Americans from all over the U.S. But unlike the United States, which has no particular geographic representation here in Nicaragua, Canada is really heavily represented by the Quebecois region, by those from Quebec. And so for the flights to be coming from there is probably the most appropriate, but that's something that may surprise a lot of people. We have a huge number of French speakers here in Nicaragua, and when you live here, that's something you know really well. But when you are researching from abroad, you may have no idea that we have all of that French influence. Being able to speak French here would actually be somewhat beneficial. There are far more opportunities to speak English, but French is well represented as a language within the country. So that the Canadians are going to have direct access without having to come through either the U.S. or Mexico is completely new. Or Costa Rica. Many Canadians would fly to Liberia, just as many Americans do, and then cross the Nicaraguan border from the south. That's still going to be an option, of course, but not having to do that extra border hop, not having to deal with that extra country and stamp and everything, not a big deal. And if you're looking for a little vacation time in Costa Rica as well, then that may work out perfectly for you. You're probably still going to get cheaper flights there if that is part of your itinerary, but if you're going to Costa Rica only to use the airport, that's very time consuming and costly compared to just flying into Managua. So this is a big deal for those of us who live here and want to be able to get anywhere without going through the U.S. Having two connections to powerful countries with a lot of resources of their own, of course, but also access to other places. Going to Canada gives us access. Now, of course, going to Montreal is not the best if we want to get to Asia, but it is possible to go to Montreal, get to Vancouver, and then fly onto Asia, or take a train or whatever to Toronto and fly from there. But it also gives us good access to typically Northern Europe from Canada, flights to the UK, of course, being very good. And we expect, be able to get flights to most of Northern Europe directly from Canada, and us being able to go to Spain and then being able to go anywhere by train or plane from Madrid also gives us good access to the Mediterranean and North Africa, of course. So really good additional connections. And what we've had traditionally in the past, we have mentioned this, but people don't think about it too much. Conviasa from Venezuela does fly through here, but the flights are only to Havana. Importantly, the connector in Havana is Turkish Airlines going to Istanbul, which gives us access to the rest of the world. So while we still are going to be quite lacking as far as flights going to China, Japan, South Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, and that region, that's one spot that we really wish we had something more direct. And of course, no direct flights to Africa, but getting to Africa from Spain, really not too bad in most cases. So, but it would be nice if we could get a little bit more direct, because Africa is so much closer. So it's too bad that there isn't a direct flight. But as you can imagine, there really isn't any business going on between Nicaragua and Africa at this time. So until that happens, we don't expect to see flights. There just isn't traffic to go back and forth. But this is a big deal for those of us living here. We've always been, and will continue to be, very hindered by the difficulties of flying through U.S. airspace, flying through U.S. airports for many of the connections, the secondary connections to other airports and such. That's been something that really affects Nicaraguans. But seeing two new countries connect in, losing Spirit, very unfortunate. If we truly lose it, any reduction in Spirit, major hit when it goes to going to the U.S. But if you're avoiding the U.S. for travel, we're actually seeing this massive uptick in options. So it's an exciting time for travel from Nicaragua. And of course, if things go well, what we're really hoping to see is those additional connections to Colombia and Peru. Once we have those, we'll really open up South America, and from there have some connections to Australia, to Africa, and such as well. So good things are happening. It's a positive move, just a half step back, but two solid steps forward. So we're happy to see that. So a lot of people are always wondering what's going on with the flights here, because it is a major factor for expats. Where would you be able to go? Who's able to come visit you? What is your flexibility and so forth? And a lot of people want to avoid, whether it's you're an American and you don't want to spend your travel days in the U.S., because we do have limited days for most of us, or if you're Canadian and don't want to go to the U.S. unnecessarily, or if you're coming from most anywhere in the world and don't have to get special U.S. visas just for transiting, which adds a lot of risk to your flight. What if you don't get approved? What if it's, and they're talking about very costly visas now in the U.S., so there's huge financial reasons to be avoiding the United States as a part of your itinerary if you can help it at all. So we're seeing that play out, right? Nicaragua is already in a position where the global markets are shifting, where you're able to fly, and we expect the U.S. to lose its status over time as a regional hub. Expect to see Mexico, Canada, Panama, Colombia, Brazil really picking up a lot of that slack as they become much more attractive locations for transiting by flights. The U.S. still pretty close to Asia, so that's going to be pretty hard to beat, but it would be really amazing if we saw something like, wink wink, hey guys, Tijuana would be a perfect location for flights to a lot of Asia originating from northwestern Latin America. So something to think about, Mexico. We'd love to see a major airport show up there, but that's pretty much a pipe dream. But, as our new train lines start coming in, we're going to have a connection to more regions for more flights through different airports as well. So a lot of good things happening in the region, a lot of good things with flights specifically. So even though you've seen some negative things in the news, I think there's more positive coming for the airlines. So thanks for joining me. Like and subscribe. Again, if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/ScottLMiller, or hit that join button right down there. You can join on the channel here, or you can join on Buy Me a Coffee. Lots of ways to become a member and just give a little bit of support every month. Really does help. This is an expensive channel to make and maintain, and to do all this research and to have all the cameras and stuff. So it's all very much appreciated. Take the time to watch an extra video. Also take the time to hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment, whether it's just a, hey, good job, nice to see you, hi, I'm a new subscriber, or ask a question. We love getting questions. That's how I get the material for the show, is I need to know what you guys need to know. And of course, get in the show note, check out all the information we have there, including the GoFundMe for my producer Marcela, who has stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. We're always trying to raise some money to help with her and her family. She's a single mother taking care of 2 kids while going through cancer. So that's very good. We're going to try to get her on the show sometime soon. She is feeling pretty good. She's made some real inroads. I'm going to be filming with her this coming Friday in Ciudad Doral, near Managua. It's our first time actually filming there. We filmed a lot in Ciudad Sandino, but never in Doral. But a lot of people have pushed for information on that, and I'm really excited to be there doing some cultural stuff, but we're going to film a little bit in town as well. So that's what we have going on. Look forward to seeing all of you guys, whether it's here on the ground or in the live stream or whatever, and I will see all of you tomorrow.